Let's talk about this Israeli Palestinian conflict. Hey everyone, my name is Sid Smith. I'm a singer-songwriter, but I also like talking about things that are going on in the world. Today I wanted to talk about the conflict / war that's been going on in Israel / Palestine. I wasn't too sure if I wanted to share all my thoughts about this because there's so much to process, and there's still like things that I don't know that I'm still trying to process about everything that's happened with this war. But I just wanted to explain, I guess, how I feel about it, my perspective, and what I do know about what's going on, maybe some helpful resources that might give more of an understanding. So about a month ago, I took a trip to DC with my boyfriend, and we kind of ran into an unexpected protest for the ceasefire in Israel. I stood there for a moment, I took a video of it, and I was just really kind of it was interesting. I had it felt like an air of I'm a part of history, or I'm seeing a piece of history unfold. And I feel just as a side comment, that I've been through a lot. I've been to DC a lot because I live so close, and I always end up going sometimes when there's been a protest, and I'm just standing there. I'm okay, I guess I'm part of this too. But like I mentioned before, this conflict / war is so deep, and there's too much to really even process about it, because it seems like it just never ends, and it started from, I feel the beginning of civilization, or even during tribal times. There was a video that I watched, I can't remember the video, but I will probably quote it down in the description if I can find it, so you can also watch it. But even those areas during the time, they were they had conflict with each other. I guess they just didn't really like each other. So but yeah, I think there's documents about just even those people fighting each other, and I feel that those fights have even come from a place to where we have trauma and stuff now, where people kind of just still don't like each other even though they're part of the same area, which just seems like the story of humanity. But what makes this even more interesting to me is that I am also a Christian, and I kind of see different sides, because I also have struggled with my faith, and I've read the Bible and stuff. I know what it says, and there's a lot of things that I don't agree with, but there's also just a lot of historical evidence that has happened over that period of time in the Bible. And even though maybe a lot of people wouldn't read it, I think a lot of the Old Testament has a lot of historical evidence, a lot of historical facts that that are worth reading and worth trying to dig into and understand. Because the land of Israel has a lot of different areas of land that are separated for different people. And you have the Christians, and you have the Jews, and you have the Muslims, and the Dome of the Rock is now where a lot of things have happened. Apparently Jesus was crucified possibly there, and there was a lot of temples that were rebuilt there. And now you have the Dome of the Rock, which is a symbol of where Muhammad was raised up into heaven. And now they're all kind of scared that something's going to happen to that, so now they're all kind of at each other's throat concerning that piece of land. But they all have one forefather, where all this stems from, is Abraham. And I think that even then there was just a lot of conflict between that too, from Abraham, and then from Moses and stuff mentioned in Exodus and in the Bible, and just how the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt, and that they went, the story, I guess, if you know about the Ten Commandments and everything, that God had commanded Moses and the Israelites to destroy these certain people groups who would pass through. Either they would just pass through, or they would just destroy them. And I always had a huge struggle with that, of why God would tell them to do that, and if there was just a lot of humanity within religion. How much is God within the religion versus humanity being in religion? But me being a Christian and stuff, it all is supposed to kind of reflect the coming of Christ, and Christ being crucified and everything. And I feel a lot of the conflict also stems from the different beliefs. When you have the Quran saying certain things about people who don't believe in their religion, or Christians in the Bible saying that not to support certain things that aren't Christ-like. And even with Judaism and stuff, that kind of went against Christianity a lot, even though Christianity is I feel become talking about modern way of saying it, a subreddit of Judaism almost. So Yeah, so it's just like they all kind of come from the same place, but there's so many different agreements. So then you kind of wonder again, like how much humanity is within these religions versus like how much is God in control of like whatever's going on, of what's happening. And I don't disagree that, like, I'm gonna be like kind of that person. And a lot of other Christians might not agree with me. Like, I don't think, I mean, like, I don't disagree that that Muhammad was not taken up into the sky. I think that he like was, it probably was something that really happened, because to that extent, to where people are worshiping and now like having their beliefs change and stuff, I really think that something did happen, and that there's so many people who are closed minded and they don't want to hear people's perspectives. And I feel like that's where it all comes from in the first place. It's just like where people aren't listening to each other and not like trying to consider each other's feelings, or they're not being able to take the time to just sit down. They all want to just like put dominance on one another and just like take control and not care about each other's feelings at all. And I know it sounds sappy, but I feel like that's the only way that you're going to be able to stop anything, is if you sit down with one another and actually have a talk. And I know there probably have been peace talks and some people can't come to an agreement, but it's because nobody can actually like think outside the box and realize, like that people have different perspectives and different feelings and opinions about stuff. And everyone wants justice, and I understand that, but I also feel that like the two wrongs can't make a right, and if you keep fighting each other and keep kind of trying to kill each other off, it's just making everything worse. But it just seems like this type of thing never ever stops. And I'm just saying this as a person that um there's like a lot of things that we don't understand as humans, and I think that we have this way about ourselves that we want to know and understand everything and why it happens and stuff, which is normal, but we're never really going to understand every single thing. And sometimes we just have to like let things go, because there's a lot of things that happen in the divine realm that we just don't get. And I feel like it's, I understand the hurt that comes from like your identity and like feeling like you're not seen or heard and stuff, especially with what's going on now. Like there's a lot of Palestinians that feel like they're not being heard or not being seen and stuff, that they don't really matter, and they do. Every life matters to me, and I feel like it should matter to other people too. And it just like the pain that it all causes, it's just like there seems like there's so much, and that's like where I kind of almost have a hatred towards religion and a hatred towards like, why God, why are you doing this, like why is this happening. But in like a previous video I was talking about like the stuff that happened in 9/11, and like this is a specific story about the woman, or this girl who was talking to her mom, and she like lost her dad and stuff, like didn't even, like they were supposed to be planning a vacation, and like he just leaves and stuff, and he never comes home because he got stuck at the World Trade Center and dies. And like her mom like lost a husband, and like through like a couple months and stuff she had like lost everything basically. But she got it back, when her daughter had kids and stuff. Like she had like more of a family again. She didn't really have to like struggle on her own. Her daughters were there for her and stuff. Like I think that overall, when it comes to divinity and when it comes to everything else, that God is still in control. So, but there's again like things that we don't understand. But I feel like as a perspective in trying to take care of the world, we need to like think outside the box. And as I conclude this video, I wanted to share this. I know it's probably like backwards right here, but this is like, it was a really timely edition as well. It came out in the September edition of National Geographic, right before October. And like October is like the tabernacle. It's like the Feast of the Tabernacle, which is very like interesting that like all this stuff happened during that time. And at the same time, I didn't even realize it, but I was reading Deuteronomy at the same time that this was happening, and didn't even like realize that I was reading that at the same time that like I was supposed to be reading it. Because apparently like in Judaism, like a lot of people like will read the book of Deuteronomy during the Feast of Tabernacles. But this specific edition, if you can grab a copy, like it's really good. It talks about the Dome of the Rock and just the different parts like that are annexed for Jews and for Palestinians and for Christians as well. And I think like it just gives like a deeper understanding, and like I had a really deep appreciation for reading it. And I think that any type of information is really good when it comes to this type of thing, like to like kind of refresh your mind and like don't always look at one source, but look at different sources and like see like what's actually going on, because the truth is not always in one thing. Sometimes you have to like look in other different things, like I understand what's going on. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon.